remakes, remakes, and remakes. Every time we go to the movies lately, all we see are remakes of our classics we've seen growing up. Looks like Hollywood is just hell bent on putting a modern twist on our classics we grew up loving. And because Hollywood is showing no signs in stopping or slowing down these remakes anytime soon, Child's Play is my first victim. So I'm going to break up both movies, compare them both, and come to a decision on who did it better, the original or the remake. And just to let you guys know, there are going to be some spoilers because I'm comparing both films. So if you haven't seen the movies, especially the new Child's Play 2019 version, do not watch my video quite yet. Okay, so let's first compare the plot of both these movies. The 1988 original Child's Play was about a single mother who gives her son a much sought after doll for his birthday, only to discover that it's possessed by the soul of a serial killer. In the 2019 version, a mother gives her son an advanced doll for his 13th birthday, unaware that its programming has been hacked by a disgruntled and suicidal employee. So, in comparing both plot points of both the films, I have to say both of them sound batshit crazy. But, honestly, I think the remake makes a little more sense. Only because of technology, AI. I could definitely see something like this happening in the near future. Not quite as drastic, but yeah. I mean, it was interesting. It was kind of like watching a Black Mirror episode. If you haven't seen Black Mirror, definitely check it out. It's on Netflix. It's a great show. It's the new Twilight Zone of this generation. And so yeah, as far as the plot goes, I think the 2019 version makes a little more sense. Now let's talk about the acting. Besides Chucky being the focus on these movies, both movies also focused on three main characters: a mother, her son, and a detective. I actually thought the acting was fine on both the original and the remake, but I feel the 1988 original, I think, is a little more convincing, only because Andy Barclay is a lot younger in the original, so he's much more vulnerable. And Andy's mom, played by Catherine Hicks, a good part of the movie is her trying to convince everyone that her son isn't crazy, and that Chucky is indeed alive and doing all these murders. And the desperation that she has to go through, it's much more convincing. In the remake, Andy Barclay is actually older. He's 13, he's a teenager, and he actually has friends to actually help him out with this situation, with his dog going crazy. It's actually a little comical. It's not as scary. And his mom, Andy's mom, who's played by Aubrey Plaza, doesn't even realize what's happening half the time. So, even though the acting on everyone, on both sides, both are okay, I feel the original is definitely better. Only because the circumstances were much more terrifying. Alright, now for the burning question. Which was the better Chucky? The original 1988 version, the Chucky doll, was voiced by Brad Dourif, and he did an amazing job. I think he's the reason why Chucky, to this day, is held as a classic, because he brought that doll to life. He was scary, he was funny, he just brought so much character to that doll that you actually believed that Chucky was actually alive. The 2019 remake Chucky doll is voiced by none other than Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker himself. He's actually the voiceover master. He's done voiceover work for many years. He actually did Joker in the Batman animated series. So I think a lot of people were excited to see Mark Hamill's take on it. Even though a lot of people weren't excited to see this new remake, a lot of people wanted to see what Mark Hamill would bring to the table. In this one, the doll's not possessed. It's an AI malfunction. The doll actually learned bad habits from watching these dumb kids and what they do. And you kind of feel bad for him in a way, because he goes through the movie kind of not knowing what the right thing to do, and once he settles on what he thinks is right and wants to protect Andy, and thinks Andy is his best friend, without Andy he's nothing, that's where the madness comes from. It's a little understandable. I'm not saying it's right, but it's you kind of feel bad for him a little bit. I mean, I would say the 1988 Chucky had more character, obviously, because he was possessed by a serial killer. The 2019 version of Chucky isn't possessed. He doesn't have a soul. He's just a malfunction. He was taught to do bad things by accident, and that's what happened, and that's why he is the way he is. So even though I thought both performances were actually done very well, I have to give it to the original Chucky, voiced by Brad Dourif, because he was more sinister. He was hilarious, and I just think that's the Chucky that everyone's gonna remember. Mark Hamill, like I said, did an excellent job as well. Don't get me wrong, but his version was definitely more of a soulless, kind of lost version of Chucky that just doesn't compare to the original. As good as it was, it just doesn't compare to the original Chucky. So the original is the better movie, but I do feel that the remake was actually a very good movie as well. A very different movie. Actually, I think if they wouldn't have named it Child's Play, it would have actually done better. I think they just put Child's Play on there for marketing reasons, so the movie can make more money. But honestly, I think as a movie itself, it could stand apart from the original, because it's actually very different from the original. So definitely check it out. And that's about it as far as comparing both movies. I hope you enjoyed this video put together. Please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I will be back.